Exposed. 5 life-changing truths to discover incredible strength in every heartwarming struggle. The clatter of cups and the sizzling of bacon filled the air, mixing with the warm smell of freshly baked apple pie that wafted in from the kitchen of Maplewood Diner. Sarah, a determined 32-year-old waitress, darted between tables, her heart racing. Her 2 energetic children were waiting for her at home, and the bills stacked high like unscalable mountains tugged at her thoughts. The faces of her loyal customers' neighbors who had become like family flashed in her mind. They were her fuel, their smiles lighting up her weary mornings and filling her with hope. But as she paused for a moment in the back of the busy diner, the door creaked open, shattering her fleeting moment of peace. There stood Tom, her estranged father. Years of silence hung between them like a heavy fog, memories of childhood moments, and a lifetime of pain swirling in the air. Those bittersweet memories clashed with the resentment bubbling inside her, and doubt seeped in. Would she let go of the past and embrace forgiveness, or would she hold on to the grudge that had kept him at bay? Whispers of trouble at the diner swept through the community like wildfire. A sudden health inspection threatened to close its doors, casting a shadow over the warmth of Maplewood. Sarah's co-workers exchanged anxious glances, their faces pale. The diner was more than just a job. It was the heart of their town, a gathering space for families, a lifeline for many. Sarah felt the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. She couldn't let this family slip away as she faced the crumbling foundation of their beloved diner. A fire ignited within her. With the pulse of her community behind her, she gathered her strength, determination swelling in her chest. The diner was worth fighting for, and so were the connections they had forged over meals and memories. Standing before her neighbors, Sarah's voice trembled, yet it rang clear. Together we can save this diner. We can't let our home be taken away. It's time we fight for what we love. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she spoke, the crowd began to stir. Neighbors who'd once been just patrons stepped forward, sharing their hopes and dreams for the diner. Her eyes glittered with unexpected vulnerability. They were no longer a collection of strangers but a family united, their stories intertwined. Yet, the shadows of her father's past continued to loom. How could she rally her community while wrestling with his ghost, the complicated legacy of a soldier who had never truly come home? Things took a turn when Sarah uncovered unsettling truths about Tom, the choices he'd made, the sacrifices that had shaped their family dynamic. Her heart ached, a tempest of emotions threatening to drown her determination. Just as she began harnessing her strength, an ultimatum from the diner owner knocked the wind from her lungs. A choice must be made, a crossroads that could alter her family's future forever. Would she choose the fight for the diner, or would the inevitable echoes of the past trap her in darkness? Tension hung in the air, thick as honey. Sarah's eyes scanned the faces of her neighbors, her heart racing. The future of Maplewood depended on her next move, and she was left to ponder. Could she silence the ghosts of her past and embrace the path of justice for the sake of her community? The stakes had never been higher, and the answers were just beginning to unfold. Doubt twisted in Sarah's gut as she stood before her neighbors, the weight of their hopes heavy on her shoulders. They looked to her, eyes bright with expectation. She swallowed hard, clenching her fists by her sides. The ultimatum hung over her like a storm cloud, choose between saving the diner and confronting the truths about her father. As people began to chatter, a quiet voice rose from the crowd. It was Mrs. Henderson, the elderly lady who came in daily for her cup of coffee and blueberry pancakes. "Sarah, we believe in you. You've always shown us what family means." Those words sent a spark through her. The community depended on her strength, but could she summon it from the depths of her uncertain heart? "We fight for each other, just like you all fought for me when I first arrived here," she called out, finding her voice amidst the turmoil. This diner is not just a building. It's where our lives connect. We can't lose that. The cheers erupted, filling the diner with hope. Sarah's heart raced with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Each clap and shout bolstered her confidence. But Tom's presence lingered like a shroud. What should she do about him? Confront him now, or wait until she had the strength to handle her own turmoil? She needed a plan, something that would unify everyone, including her father. Let us come together to make sure the health inspection goes smoothly, she shouted, nodding to her coworkers. We'll scrub every corner as a team. We'll show them our pride. As everyone rallied around her, her heart surged with renewed purpose. They broke into groups, laughter mingling with determination as they planned strategy, an army of locals ready to defend their beloved diner. Sarah felt alive, electric, as she joined in, snapping on rubber gloves and handling mops in a flurry of activity. But amid all the busyness, a nagging voice whispered in her mind. Tom. She caught a glimpse of him by the door, standing in the shadows, scanning the room. 1,000 questions lay unsaid between them. Could they talk just once? With her heart thumping erratically, Sarah took a deep breath, letting her feet carry her toward him. The clatter of dishes faded into the background. Tom, she began, but the words tangled in her throat. He stepped forward, eyes earnest. I know I've messed up, Sarah, but I'm here now. I want to fix things. His voice cracked, the weight of regret heavy in each statement. Before she could respond, an unexpected shout erupted from the kitchen. Hey, we need help back here. It was Jake, her coworker, waving frantically as the oven's alarm blared. The distraction snapped Sarah's focus back to the diner. Her community was calling. She needed to prioritize this moment. Turning back to Tom, she made a decision. We'll talk later. Right now, we have a diner to save. Determination swallowed her fears as she rushed off to assist her team. The buzz of collective action felt like a bomb. She glanced over her shoulder, and Tom remained, a mix of hope and sorrow on his face as the hours wore on. The diner transformed. Laughter echoed through the air. The smell of fresh coffee and cleaning supplies mingled as they tackled every inch of the establishment. Just when it seemed like everything might come together, however, the door swung open again. In walked the health inspector, clipboard in hand, looking serious as a storm cloud. Sarah's heart dropped. The moment of reckoning had arrived. Would all their hard work pay off? Or would the diner's fate hang by a thread? An urgent wave of anxiety washed over her. She had to keep fighting. Not just for Maplewood, but for herself. Could she rise above the chaos and ensure a future for the diner and perhaps for her relationship with Tom as well? The answer lay just beyond the threshold, and Sarah hoped she would find the strength to seize it. The health inspector stepped inside, a stark figure against the warm, inviting backdrop of the diner. His presence sucked the air from the room, and the hearty chatter faded into whispers. Sarah felt her heart race as she wiped her hands on her apron, urgency pushing her to gather her thoughts. Welcome, she called, her voice a bit too bright. We've been preparing all day. Please, let me know if you need anything. The warmth of her smile felt like a mask over the anxiety bubbling just beneath the surface. The inspector glanced around, his eyes scanning the freshly scrubbed floors and the eager faces of her neighbors. They stood in a loose circle around Sarah, united in purpose. Still, she could feel each heartbeat echoing louder than the last, not only her anxious pulse, but the collective rhythm of hope and worry from her supporters. Let us get started, then, he replied, pulling out his clipboard. I'll need to check the kitchen first. As he turned away, Sarah exchanged nervous glances with Jake, who was pouring a fresh pot of coffee. She could see the uncertainty mirrored in his eyes. Would they pass? Had they done enough? While the inspector disappeared into the kitchen, Sarah caught sight of Tom again. He had moved closer to her. His expression softened with understanding, the tension from before almost forgotten. For one brief second, she thought about reaching out to him, but the impending inspection held her back, a barrier she wasn't ready to cross. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The clattering of dishes and the aroma of breakfast had transformed into a heavy silence as everyone waited. Each tick of the clock brought a new wave of panic. Sarah's gut twisted tighter with every passing second. Would her dedication and the community's effort mean anything if they failed now? Finally, the inspector reemerged, his expression unreadable. "I've got some observations to make." He shuffled through his notes, and a growing murmur swept through the dining area. Anxiety gripped Sarah like a vice. She held her breath. "Overall, your establishment is clean," he began, and a wave of relief swept over the crowd, setting her heart racing with hope. "However, there are a few issues regarding food storage," he continued, pointing out specific regulations they needed to address. In a moment, all the hard work and camaraderie they shared now hinged on fixing these points. Discussions sprang up as people began to react, offering solutions and suggestions, a chorus of ideas swirling around the room. Sarah felt a surprising surge of clarity. "We will fix it," she shouted, her voice rising above the noise. "We come together as a community, just like we always have. We can make it right." Jake nodded vigorously while others chimed in, recounting how they could organize their efforts to correct the issues before the inspector returned. The tension eased as focus shifted towards teamwork. But Sarah's heart was still heavy. The thought of her father, of Tom, of everything unresolved lingered at the back of her mind, a silent shadow threatening to cloud the progress they just made. She couldn't keep delaying this conversation. The diner might survive today, but it wouldn't heal without facing its deeper struggles. As they strategized, Sarah caught Tom's eye again. There was something undeniably hopeful there, an unspoken promise of support. Maybe she could find a way to do both: save the diner and confront the truth waiting for her at home. Just then, Mrs. Henderson approached her, resting a hand on her arm. "You've got this, dear. I believe in you." Those words settled warm in her chest, anchoring her amid the whirlwind of responsibilities. "Thank you, Mrs. Henderson," Sarah replied, her voice filled with newfound strength. The moment felt pivotal, like the calm before a storm that would reshape everything. Empowered, Sarah turned back to the group, her voice steady. "Let us finish this, and after, I have something to take care of." As the team buzzed with renewed enthusiasm, Sarah wondered if she truly possessed the courage to confront what lay ahead. But, just as they settled into their plan, her phone buzzed in her pocket. A message flashed on the screen, striking her like lightning. It was from her father. "We need to talk now." The weight of her day's resolution reset as anxiety surged. Would she be able to face him when the time came? Or was she about to be pulled into turmoil that could threaten everything she worked so hard to save? The air was thick with tension as Sarah stared at her phone, her heart racing even faster. The message felt like a freedom call and a prison sentence rolled into one. "We need to talk now." The words echoed, wrapping around her like a vice. Her father hadn't reached out like that in years. "Is everything okay, Sarah?" Jake's voice cut through her thoughts. She realized everyone was looking at her, concern etched on their faces. "He just wants to talk," she replied, forcing herself to smile. The honesty almost stung. "Can't it wait?" Tom asked, his voice low but steady. "We've got a lot to do here." But deep down, she knew that it couldn't. If she didn't face her father now, she may never find the courage to do it. Right after this," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Let us focus on the kitchen for now." The group shifted back into action, discussion buzzing like syrupy honey, smoother as everyone teamed up to address the inspector's concerns. Time seemed to fly, yet each second felt suffocating. As people scrambled to gather the necessary supplies and implement changes, Sarah felt an unfamiliar mix of pride and dread swell within her. She glanced at Tom, who was working alongside Mrs. Henderson. His brow was furrowed, lips pursed with concentration. Each time he caught her gaze, he offered a brief smile, a tiny anchor amid the chaos. But every smile didn't soften the impending weight of her father's call. It only magnified the guilt of sticking with unfinished business. "Sarah, can you check the pantry?" Jake's voice shook her out of her thoughts. "Of course," she said, shaking herself back into the moment. As she made her way to the pantry, The familiar sense of spices and stored food took her back to childhood memories. Cooking with her mother, laughter, and love felt like a distant, warm embrace. Would her father ever understand how much she craved to heal those memories? She rummaged through the shelves, determined to focus on what mattered at hand. Every can, jar, and box represented the effort of the whole diner. A dream not just for her, but for the entire community. As people filtered in and out, Sarah's phone buzzed again. Another message from her father. "Where are you?" She winced. The urgency in those words felt like a crack in the dam. How could she juggle this? The hope for the diner and the fear of a conversation that could crumble her heart? "Everything okay, Sarah?" someone asked. The voice jolted her from her inner battle. She turned to find Jake standing close, concern in his eyes. "Yeah, just a lot going on." Jake's face softened, eyes searching for her truth. "You're doing an amazing job." "Thank you," she replied, but she felt detached from that compliment. It was immersed in uncertainty. After nearly an hour, they had addressed a majority of the issues, a breath of relief spreading through the room. The inspector was set to return soon. That little victory felt good, but it was overshadowed by the looming tension with her father. As they finished cleaning up, Sarah's heart raced once more. This was her moment. It would decide how the next chapter of her life would unfold. Would she be brave enough to meet her father today and confront their past? Just as she squared her shoulders standing near the diner's entrance, Tom approached her. "You all right?" he asked. His voice was steady, filled with genuine care. "I have to go," she murmured, almost like a confession. "Go?" he questioned, eyebrows raised. She nodded, glancing back toward the buzzing crowd in the diner, knowing she couldn't keep delaying her huge responsibility. "I really need to talk to him. It's complicated." Tom searched her eyes, a deep understanding flashing in his. "Just remember, whatever happens, you have support." His words anchored her momentarily, but as she stepped outside into the bright sunlight, uncertainty loomed like dark clouds in her mind. Would she find strength amid the storm she was about to face? Determined, she pulled out her phone, fingers trembling as she prepared to call her father. Would he listen? Would he even want to understand? With one deep breath, she pressed send, her heart hammering as it rang. She was stepping into an unknown, ready or not. But would she find the answers she desperately needed? Could their relationship be salvaged? Or was this the end of the line? The phone rang, each tone echoing in her stomach like a drumbeat. Sarah's heart pounded harder with every vibration, the familiar dread creeping back in. Memories of past conversations danced in her mind, those heavy silences, the sharp words. She bit her lip, hoping this time would be different. "Hey," her father answered, his voice loaded with the weight of years. She barely recognized it. It was both cold and distant, yet there was a flicker of something else she couldn't place discomfort. "Maybe?" "Hi, Dad." Her own voice felt shaky, as if the word Dad had gotten stuck in her throat. "Why did you want to talk?" he asked bluntly, cutting through any small talk she had hoped to maneuver through. I saw your message," she stammered, unsure of how to bend the words just right, to package her emotions in a present that wouldn't hurt. "I thought it was time we talked about things." "Things?" he repeated. His tone suggested he knew what she was referring to, yet he needed her to say it. The pause stretched, a chasm she was staring into. "Yes," she said finally, her heart racing. "About us, and everything that's happened." He sighed, a sound filled with years of regret and frustration. "Do we have to? I thought you'd moved on from that." His words cut deep. She could almost feel the sharpness twisting inside her. Did he really believe that? "I'm trying to, but we can't just pretend it didn't happen." "I can't." Another pause settled heavily between them. "What do you want from me?" His voice softened, revealing cracks in his tough exterior. Her thoughts were a flurry. Did she want an apology? No. She wanted understanding. A way to break through the silence that had trapped them for so long. "I want us to try to understand each other. I need to know why you left, and if things could be different." His silence spoke volumes. She imagined him shifting in his chair, fingers clenched around the phone, refusing to surrender to the flood of emotions crashing against his defenses. "Sarah," he finally said, almost a whisper, "some things are better left in the past." The words stung. Maybe, but they're not gone. They haunt me, and I don't want that for you or me anymore. Her voice firmed up, emboldened by a flicker of resolve within. Another sigh. "It's hard to discuss the past. You don't know how hard it is for me." Tears pricked her eyes, frustration bubbling over. "Then help me understand. Please. I've spent so much time wondering if it was my fault, if I did something to make you leave, Sarah. It wasn't to you, but then what was it?" She cut him off, the floodgates of emotions crashing open. "I came here today to find answers, not just to dwell in history. I need to know who you really are now." The tension electrified the air. "I don't know if I can give you that," he admitted. The vulnerability in his voice surprised her. A strange mix of fear and honesty. "Then let us start with where we are now." "But what if that's not enough?" he challenged. The question hung there, heavy and unyielding. What if it wasn't he? Could she really break this cycle of hurt? Or was this confrontation just another battle in the war of their relationship? "Maybe we can figure that out together," she said softly, each word a plea. Fingers trembling, Sarah leaned against the side of the diner and closed her eyes, waiting for his next words, hoping for a breakthrough. But as he remained silent, she knew they were on the edge of something monumental. Could this conversation lead them out of the shadows, or would it push them further apart than ever? The wind picked up, swirling her thoughts into a flurry, reminding her of all that was left unresolved. Would they find a way to connect, or had they both built walls too thick to tear down? As the silence stretched on, Sarah felt a familiar sense of urgency. Would she ever get the answers she needed, or was she destined to keep searching for a father in a man who had lost his way? The silence felt like an endless expanse, wrapping around Sarah like a heavy fog. She opened her eyes, staring at the peeling paint on the diner wall, her heartbeat matching the rhythmic ticking of the old clock above the counter. "Dad?" She finally broke the quiet, a sharp edge to her voice. "Are you still there?" "Yeah, I'm here." He sounded distant again, his carefully constructed walls sliding back into place. "I need you to be present with me," she urged, desperation leaking into each word. "Can we just talk? Really talk?" "I don't know how to do that, Sarah." His voice trembled slightly, revealing a crack in his armor that she hadn't noticed before. "It's easier to avoid it all." "Easier as it always better," she replied, determination blooming in her chest. "I refuse to let this go without at least trying. Please." There was a long pause. She could picture him running a hand through his hair, searching for the right words but finding only the tangled threads of their past. "Okay," he finally said, a note of resignation in his tone. "What do you want to know?" Relief washed over her, but she quickly stifled it, wanting to tread carefully. "Why did you leave? Why did you stop being my dad?" She felt the weight of his silence before he finally spoke. "It wasn't about you, Sarah. I was lost in my own life, drowning in mistakes I made long before you were born. You don't understand what that does to a person. Try me," she whispered, longing for an honest connection. "Help me understand the man behind the decisions. I can't carry this burden anymore." His breath hitched, and for a moment, she could hear the crackling of static on their connection. "Your mom and we had our own issues. I left to protect you. I thought it would spare you from the fallout." "Protect me?" she echoed, disbelief mingling with pain. "But you leaving only created a different kind of hurt. I've been haunted by your absence." "I know," he said, his voice breaking, "and I hate that I caused you this pain. But I thought I was keeping you safe from the chaos I brought into our lives." Her heart ached for him, but also for herself. "But it didn't work, did it? You didn't protect me. You just left me to figure it out alone." In that moment, she couldn't help but feel the anger bubbling to the surface. "Do you know how hard it was growing up without you? Do you even care?" "I do care, Sarah. I do," he snapped back, the heat of frustration filling the space between them. "Then show me. Right now, I need you to show me that you actually care about fixing this." His silence returned, but this time it felt different. Felt like he was thinking, really thinking. What if I promised to try? Tears stung her eyes. Try isn't enough, Dad. We can't just go back to the way things were. We need to build something real. What do you want us to build? He inquired, a hint of hope sparking in his voice. I don't know yet, she admitted, vulnerability creeping in. But I know we can't keep running. I want a connection. I want a future. The wind picked up outside, rattling the windows, mirroring the turmoil in her heart. Would they be willing to lay down their past and step into the unknown? What if building that future means facing some hard truths? He asked, his tone softening. Then let us face them together, she replied. Every word a life raft thrown into the turbulent sea between them. I can't do this alone anymore. I'm tired of being afraid. His silence lingered a moment longer. Then he sighed. Okay, I'll give it a shot. As they hovered at the brink of a new exchange, her heart raced. She sensed the promise that lay ahead, swirling like the leaves outside the diner. Would they finally bring light to the shadows that had long overshadowed their relationship? Can we start now? She pressed gently, feeling the weight of possibility shift in the air. Yeah, let us start now. His voice held a note of resolve, a glimmer of hope. But as she prepared to delve deeper, ready to uncover the truths hidden beneath a lifetime of silence, her phone buzzed, a distressing interruption. It was a message from her mother. What is it? Her father asked, concern evident in his voice. This wasn't just another moment to gloss over. It felt monumental. Would the message draw them closer or push them apart once more? Only one way to find out. Sarah felt her breath catch as she glanced at her phone. The screen flickered against the dim light of the diner, casting a blue hue across her anxious face. It felt like this message could tip the scales of their fragile moment either way. She opened it slowly, her heart pounding against her chest. Sarah, we need to talk. There's something important. Call me. Mom, your mom, her father began. But the tension in his voice revealed his own unease. Do you think it's about us? She asked, fear creeping in like vines, wrapping around her heart. Do you think she knows we're talking? I don't know, he replied, running a hand over his face, as if to wipe away the uncertainty. But maybe this conversation is meant to happen. Maybe we all need to face what we've been avoiding. Sarah's fingers tingled as she contemplated calling her mother. It would be another confrontation, another test of the deep fissures that had formed between them. She scanned her father's face, searching for guidance, a sign that he would support her through whatever came next. Do you think she'll be angry because we're finally addressing things? She asked, her voice softening. He looked up, his expression earnest. If she is, let her. You're allowed to have this moment, just like I am. This is part of our truth, and she deserves to know you're not willing to hide anymore. A moment of solidarity shifted in the air. Despite the fear bubbling in her stomach, something inside Sarah flickered. Maybe her father was right. Maybe this was the moment they'd all been waiting for, a catalyst for change. Okay, she said, taking a steadying breath. I'll call her. Her hand trembled as she dialed the number. The ringing felt like a countdown, each tone echoing her mounting anxiety. She stared into her father's eyes, seeking reassurance. He gave her a slight nod, his own apprehension mirrored in his expression but softened by the desire to support her. When her mother picked up, the tension in Sarah's shoulders tightened. Mom, it's me. What's going on? Her mother replied, voice sharp, hinting at the urgency that hung between them. We were just talking, Dad and I. Your father? Her mother's voice tightened even further, almost a hiss. What does he want? I told you to keep your distance from him. Mom, please listen. Sarah pressed, desperation slipping through her calm facade. I need to know why things have been like this, why you and Dad split up. I think it's time we faced it together. The past is the past, Sarah. We can't change it, her mother snapped back. But there was a quiver of uncertainty beneath her anger, as if the surface of her composure was beginning to crack. No, we can't change it, but we can talk about it, Sarah insisted. It's not just going to go away if we ignore it. Not this again, her mother started to protest. But Sarah pressed on. I just need to understand. I don't want to get hurt anymore, Mom. I'm tired, I want us all to be better. The line was silent, stillness enveloping them both. A chorus of emotions washed over Sarah. Fear, hope, and a profound longing for connection. She could feel her father's presence beside her, anchoring her in this difficult conversation. What do you mean by better? Her mother finally asked, softness beginning to seep into her words. Better as a family, Sarah murmured, tasting the word, almost unfamiliar yet achingly familiar, like dreaming of home. I want to build something real with you and with Dad. I want to know my past so I can finally understand my future. As the air shifted around them, Sarah felt a hint of vulnerability bubble up, just like her father had shown moments before. Would this openness lead her mother to a place of understanding, or just escalate the conflict further? She glanced at her dad, who was listening intently, holding on to hope as tightly as she was. Sarah, her mother, began again, hesitating. Before her mother could continue, a sudden shout broke through the din of the diner. A raucous group had just come in, laughter and clattering of utensils cutting through their intimate moment. It was jarring. The weight of their conversation felt suspended. Mom, please, Sarah urged, her voice rising above the noise. I need this. Can we take this moment? Can we do this together? Right now? Her mother hesitated again, the silence stretching taut like a drawn bowstring. Sarah then, just as quickly, the atmosphere shifted. Sarah could hear the clink of coffee cups and the rattle of the door, mingling with her raging heartbeat. What would her mother say next? Would they break down barriers or raise new ones? Let your father listen, came her mother's reluctant voice. Uncertainty mingled with intrigue. But just then, her phone buzzed again, another message coming in. What more was there to unpack? Sarah, what is happening now? Her father pressed, concern etched on his face. The tension in the air thickened, leaving them all teetering on the edge of change. Would this moment be their turning point or just another faltered attempt to reach one another? Only the next words could tell. Sarah's fingers fumbled to unlock her phone, the buzzing cutting through the air like a knife. She glanced at the new message. Her heart raced, but her breath caught again, tightening in her chest. It wasn't from her mom. It was from her brother, Jake. Hey, can you call me after? I need your help with something. The urgency in his words sent a new wave of worry crashing over her. Sarah swallowed hard. Jake was the calm in their stormy family, always carrying weight that often felt too heavy. She turned her attention back to her mother, who remained silent on the other end. Mom? Sarah's voice trembled, fighting to regain control of the moment. I don't know if I can do this right now, her mother finally admitted, her voice taut. The diner is too noisy, and I can't even think. Can we step outside? Away from all this? Sarah suggested, desperation spilling out. She needed this moment, and maybe, just maybe, her mother did too. All right, her mother conceded, the struggle still heavy in her voice. But I'll only talk if your father isn't listening. Please, Mom, Sarah pressed, each word feeling like a plea for a bridge to cross. What good is hiding anymore? I just want to understand. There was a pause, and Sarah could almost hear her mother weighing her options. The internal battle playing out in silence. Would this be a moment of breakthrough, or another wall built too high to scale? Fine. But let us go outside, her mother finally whispered, her tone more shaky than before. Okay. Just a second, Sarah motioned to her dad, who was still looking at her with wide eyes, his anticipation hanging thick in the air. Dad. She wants to talk outside, she said, her heart racing as she stood up. He nodded, following her lead as they moved toward the door as they stepped outside. The crisp night air wrapped around Sarah like a cool blanket, offering some comfort. Streetlights flickered softly above them, casting gentle shadows as they walked a few steps away from the diner's entrance. Her father lingered behind, waiting near the door, a silent guardian ready to step in if things went sideways. Okay, Mom, I'm here. Talk to me, Sarah urged, hoping that clarity would ignite between them. I'm trying, Sarah, her mother said, the tension easing slightly. It's just difficult. You don't understand how much pain there has been. Then tell me. Let me be part of it. We want to be perfect, but I don't want you to fight this alone anymore, Sarah continued, her voice steady and heavy with emotion. The silence stretched out once more, threatening to pull them back into uncertainty. But then, Sarah caught a glimpse of vulnerability in her mother's eyes. Your father made some choices that hurt so many. Her mother began slowly, the words heavy on her tongue. And I thought distancing myself would protect you, but I was wrong. The revelation hit harder than Sarah anticipated. A strangled breath escaped her as she processed the admission. The knots in her stomach started to untangle, each word opening a door she had long viewed as sealed tight. Mom, is that why you didn't let me see him? Her throat constricted, fear creeping back in. Yes, her mother admitted, her voice turning shaky again. I thought if you didn't see him, you wouldn't hurt. I wanted to give you a normal life, but maybe there were things I could have done differently. Sarah felt her heart race again. But this time, it was fueled by something new, a sense of possibility. Then let us do this together. You, me, and Dad. We can face it. Even if it's painful, she said gently, grounding herself in hope. Together? Her mother echoed, disbelief evident in each syllable. Together. But as the slightest smile began to break on her mother's face, Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket again. This time a call from Jake. I need to take this. It's Jake, she said, glancing back at her dad, who was still watching them closely. Okay, her mother replied, reading the concern in Sarah's eyes. But promise me we'll continue this. It matters. I promise, Sarah affirmed, feeling a stirring spirit of unity fluttering within her. She answered Jake's call. She wondered what had stirred up enough emotion for him to reach out now. Was it something that could further unravel their family, or a push toward healing all around? Hey Jake, what's up? Sarah said, bracing herself for his response. Sarah, I don't know how to say this, but I found something about Mom and Dad. Her breath halted, the weight of his words sinking in deeper than she had anticipated. What new secret would surface now, and how would this twist change everything they had started to untangle? Jake, what do you mean? Sarah's voice trembled, a mix of confusion and concern weaving through her words. She stepped back a little from her mother, trying to block out the diner and the faint hum of conversations that felt miles away. What did you find? I can't explain it all right now, Jake replied, his voice laced with anxiety. But it's about Dad. And it's serious. Can we meet? Meet? Like now? Sarah felt a rush of urgency wash over her. I'm with Mom and Dad. It's complicated. I know, but trust me, this can't wait. Just please, meet me at our spot. We need to talk. I really need you to understand, he urged, the edge of desperation sharpening his tone. Okay, fine. I'll come. She glanced back at her mother, who was watching her with an expression that was a mix of worry and encouragement. Sarah, wait, her mother called out, panic edging into her voice. What did he say? Is something wrong? I have to go meet Jake. It's important. She didn't want to leave her mother's side, but her brother needed her, and the urgency in his voice felt all-consuming. Will you come back? Her mother pressed, fear flaring in her eyes. I'll be right back, I promise. Sarah forced a smile, hoping it was comforting. She turned and jogged toward the end of the block, the streetlights illuminating her path. Reaching their old hidden spot, a weathered bench at a small park they would call theirs, memories unfolding like pages from a book. The night air was thick with anticipation as she spotted Jake, standing with his hands shoved deep into his pockets, shoulders tense. Hey, he greeted, his voice barely above a whisper. What's going on? You look stressed. I really don't know how to tell you this. Jake hesitated, casting his eyes downward before taking a breath, as if he were gearing up for a plunge into icy waters. Whatever it is, we can handle it, Sarah urged, her heart thumping in her chest. We're stronger together, right? Jake nodded, but doubt lingered in his gaze. You remember last summer? When Dad went on that business trip? Yeah, but we finally figured out he wasn't right, but it's more than just that, he interrupted. I found out he was involved with someone else before everything blew up. And I think Mom knew. A chill wrapped itself around Sarah. What? How do you know? I've been digging through some old messages and records. It's all connected, Sarah. The choices he made left marks on all of us. They're not just shadows but deep scars, Jake disclosed, his voice firm yet hollow. Sarah felt the world shift beneath her, the air growing heavier with each revelation. And Mom? She held on to this? For how long? Long enough to get tangled in it. And it's affected how she interacts with us with everything. I think it's time we all faced the truth openly. We can't keep hiding from what happened. As she absorbed his words, instinctively her back straightened. Clarity dawned. So we confront them together? We take them on? Exactly. They deserve to know we're aware, that we can no longer be kept in the dark. The weight of the moment hung heavy between them, mingling with the reality that they were standing on the edge of something colossal, a storm brewing neither had prepared for. But what if it tears us apart even more? Sarah whispered, the fear entwined with every word. Jake stepped closer, looking her in the eyes with a sincerity that made her heart flutter. Or it could bring us together in a way we've never known. This can either break us or make us stronger. Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded slowly, the resolve igniting within her. Then we do it. But we need a plan, and a way to be ready for anything. I don't want any more secrets, right? We'll gather our strength and face them on our terms, Jake affirmed, and as they stood together in the cool night, the air charged with potential, Sarah felt the world shift once more. This is going to change everything, she whispered, the weight of truth pressing down on her shoulders. Breaking the calm of the night, her phone rang again. It was her mother. Sarah, listen, there's something else. You need to know. Sarah glanced at Jake, who braced himself for whatever revelation was about to unfold. Their past was unraveling quickly, and as the phone buzzed in her hand, Sarah knew they were on the brink of a revelation that might finally expose the truth. But at what cost? The air felt electric as Sarah took a deep breath, anticipation and fear swirling inside her like a storm. Holding her phone tightly, she realized this might be the moment where everything changed. Mom? She answered, her heart racing. What do you want to tell me? Sarah, her mother's voice cracked, urgency rising. I just got off the phone with your father. He admitted to some things we need to confront together. You shouldn't face this alone. Mom, I'm with Jake right now. We've been discussing everything that's been hidden. And I think it's time we all come together. Finally face the past, Sarah replied, feeling the weight of their secrets thrumming through her veins. Then let us meet at the diner, her mother suggested, a tremor of determination in her voice. I'll bring your father. Okay, Sarah answered, eyes meeting Jake's as she hung up, a wave of resolution washing over her. She knew that tonight wasn't just about her, it was about her whole family. It was time to let the light in, to unearth the truth that had lingered in shadows for too long. They arrived at Maplewood Diner, its comforting glow somehow reassuring amidst the mess of emotions swelling inside her. Each step felt heavier with the knowledge she carried. As they entered, she spotted her father and mother already deep in conversation, their faces etched with worry and uncertainty. Sarah, Jake, her mother called out, glancing up as they walked in. Her father's expression was somber but unwavering, a hidden hope clinging to the surface. The diner felt alive that night, filled with patrons unaware of the storm brewing at one end of the counter. Let us all sit, Sarah suggested, her voice steady despite the butterflies lining her stomach. They took up a booth, a symbolic oasis amid swirling emotions. Jake squeezed her hand briefly for support before their parents settled in, tension filling the air like smoke. Thank you for coming, her father started, glancing between the siblings. I want you to know that I let us cut to the chase, Sarah interjected, her voice firm. We know things haven't been what they should be. We need honesty from both of you. The words felt powerful. They flowed from her lips with a resolve that surprised even herself. Right, Jake added, chiming in. We know about the other woman, Dad, and that Mom may have known. Now the question is why this happened and how we can move forward. The tension was palpable. Sarah felt her parents freeze beside each other like deer caught in headlights. Her mother's initial shock flickered into caution. Her father's brow furrowed deep. "You shouldn't have to know about that," he murmured as if trying to cloister them from the past. "Why wouldn't we?" Sarah returned, frustration flaring deep inside. "It's affected our lives. You owe us this honesty and discussion for once. For all of us. I wanted to protect you, Sarah. Keep you out of the mess," her father replied, his voice rising defensively. "But in doing that, I isolated you even more." "Protect? By hiding?" Sarah echoed, a wave of sadness swallowing her, the anger dissipating into regret for the years lost. "You both had choices, and your choices hurt us." Silence filled the booth as her mother's eyes shone with unshed tears. "Please," Sarah urged, coaxing her mother to respond. "I can't bear the weight of all that's been hidden any longer." "Then let us face it, all of it," her mother finally whispered, wrapping her arms around herself. "You deserve to know the truth, even if it hurts." As they spoke, the diner's atmosphere transformed. Anger shifted to vulnerability, hurt to hope. They treaded carefully through the blurred memories, revealing layers of pain hidden beneath their family bond, discovering strength together instead of apart. "I can't change the past," her father said quietly, eyes filled with remorse. "But I can try to be better. We can all try to be better." Tears pricked Sarah's eyes as she looked into her mother's face, then her father's, sensing an opening for healing, a new path forward. "Let us rebuild," she said softly, her voice cracking with emotion. "Step by step." In the moment that followed, a collective breath was exhaled, filled with the promise of possibility. The walls that had held them captive began to crumble as they shared memories, beauty intertwined with tragedy, laughter mingling with tears. Later that night, as the diner lights dimmed, they leaned into each other, embracing the reality that healing would take time but was possible. They stood unified, a family mending the fractures of their shared history, determined to forge ahead without fear. "Tomorrow we'll keep fighting, not just for the diner but for us," Sarah said, inspiration bubbling in her chest. "For all we've built and all we will become." With that, they left the diner arm in arm. A new dawn was breaking, a fresh start on the horizon. And now, as you've just witnessed this powerful transformation from struggle to hope, remember these stories depend on your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive tales that could inspire us all. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep that momentum going. Let us know your thoughts on this emotional ending in the comments. What do you feel? How has this journey touched you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Their hearts will thank you, and so will we. Your support is what keeps our community alive.